and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Daniel, you got the final story for the people. What's going on?
So
man?
we do a final story. It is on Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now I picked an article from NBC News, but it's really crap. It's a really crap article. So instead, I'd like to actually scratch the article. You can still read it. Still going to be in the show notes, and just kind of talk, because I was talking with Kill. We know quite a bit on this incident, so I think it's important that we sort of talk through it, talk about what happened to this place, ramifications.
Let's start from the beginning, because a lot of Americans may not realize,
and especially if you're not in America,
in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So Tulsa, Oklahoma was a city that did very well. It was a predominantly black city that had a very strong economy, very, very middle class. It was much wealthier than the white people living around it.
Black Wall Street.
It was known as Black Wall Street. That's right. If you put $1 into Tulsa, it would pass around, I think, like 100 times over weeks or months before it left the town. And of course, we had a lot of stuff coming in. Today, I think the number is that that money put into a ghetto in America leaves in like 30 minutes or something absurdly short like that. And so anyway, so Tulsa was this thriving community that was very popular. So again, when we hear a lot of people that aren't the most, that they're somewhat disingenuous to say the least, that make the, oh, well, if black people are so upset about X, Y, and Z, why don't they do their own stuff? Well, this is a story of why it doesn't work. So they succeeded. They grew this town, and this was a little over 100 years ago. And then, just like what happened with Emmett Till, there was some black guy assaulted some woman somewhere. And so what happened, again, not substantiated in any way, what happened, a large mob went through and just burned the city to the ground and threw bodies in the river. And everyone just then undercounted the death toll. It was one of those 10 times higher than it was. It was also, Tulsa was also the only city in World War I in the U.S. to get bombed from air. The reason being is that the U.S., it wasn't the Air Force at that point. It was the
Army Air Force.
The Army Air Force.
The early Army Air Force.
Would test their ability to drop munitions by dropping it on Tulsa. Because why not? It's a black community. What are they going to lose? So this city that was destroyed by race riots that Fox News would probably defend today.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, they would.
Was an example of a successful community that was destroyed because of jealousy, racism, bigotry, hatred. And it's why it's very hard for people in the not majority race to build up influence, connections, and power for the average person, because it'll just get burned down. Detroit had a similar story. All these cities that we've covered, the fact that after the Civil War, Georgia, I think it was Georgia or Tennessee, actually gave 40,000 acres to former slaves, as restitution, and then the militia just came and kicked them all out again. So this is the American way. This is the American story. And I just didn't want to sort of insult it by reading this sort of Fox Newsified version by NBC.
A country did this to its own people. The United States of America did this, didn't bat an eye. I also want to acknowledge a link that Roger Meadows sent me. It's about the two pioneering black writers have not received recognition that they deserve for chronicling one of the country's gravest crimes. So let's face it, it was a genocide. It was a murder. What happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma? It was a thriving community, Black Wall Street. It must come back, and people must acknowledge what happened there. This country has a long, sad history of people being abused, harassed, destroyed, hurt. And it's long overdue that we really talk about it. And again, I just want to acknowledge this. So again, Roger Meadows, thank you so much for this article too. I want to read it more in its entirety, and I feel like it's important that we address it. So this is from the New Yorker. It was written by Victor Luckerson, and it's about the women who preserved the story of the Tulsa Race Massacre. Sorry about that. After teaching an evening typewriter class, Mary E. Jones Parrish was losing herself in a good book when her daughter Florence noticed something strange outside. "Mother," Florence said, "I see men with guns." It was May 31st, 1921 in Tulsa. A large group of armed black men had congregated below the Parrish apartment situated in the city's thriving black business district known as Greenwood. Stepping outside, Parrish learned that a black teenager named Derek Rowland had been arrested on a false allegation of attempted rape and that her neighbors were planning to march to the courthouse to try and protect them. Soon after the men left, Parrish heard gunshots. Then fires lit up the night sky as the buildings just west of her home began to burn. The effort to protect Rowland had gone horribly wrong, resulting in a chaotic gun battle at the courthouse. Now a heavily armed white mob was pressing down on the entirety of Greenwood, bent on violent retribution. Parrish, who lived just north of the railroad tracks that divided Tulsa's two segregated worlds, watched from her apartment window as the mob grew. She observed a pitched skirmish between white and black shooters across the railroad tracks, then saw white men haul a machine gun on top of a grain mill and rain bullets down on her neighborhood. Instead of running away, Parrish remained in Greenwood and documented what she saw, heard, and felt. "I had no desire to flee," she recalled. "I forgot about personal safety, and what seized was the uncontrollable desire to see the outcome of the fray." That's just a short excerpt from the New Yorker. Thank you, Roger Meadows, for sharing that article with me. Now more than ever, we have to acknowledge some of the crimes that has been done in this country towards its own people. If we're going to fight for a better future, we have to accept that in our past, we were not magnificent, our heroes were not champions, they were flawed individuals. And now more than ever, future generations will look at us and the actions that we do now. We have to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa. And we must, and all the other horrible crimes as well. But with that acknowledgement, we can push forward for a better future. An era of great projects, like Daniel says, of innovation,
it's
of hope.
It's like, I get so annoyed that like a lot of the stuff that we cover is like, the country runs more efficiently, more people live, more people are healthy, more stuff is produced. Like everyone wins except the current entrenched system with every issue that we're fighting and every issue Americans agree on. So we're stuck arguing over stuff that the rest of the world already has. Just to maintain a power structure that every single day, let's be real, the people that are supporting it are passing on and the people that are replacing it don't like. So it's going to stop at some point. So we're looking at something that will collapse. It will be the fall. The American empire as it is will collapse. The question is, what kind of collapse is it going to be? Are we going to control it? Or is it going to crash on the ground? And we are running as fast as we can to make these things crash on the ground. We don't accept and try and live past and grow with and grow beyond our past. We simply defend horrible things that happen because it's easier to do, because we don't educate people properly, because education itself is now political. We have the power and the ability to completely rebuild America. In every facet, we can redo the schools. We can redo everything. Hell, we can use drones to make the military cheaper if we really decide that we need to go that route. We could rebuild all our piping. We could rebuild our electrical. We could live in an era of great projects where America every day is better, where the people can live better lives, make businesses easier for regular people to start, make it more accountable for larger businesses, make it harder for them to operate the taller they get versus the other way around. Make it a true meritocracy in that way. Make it so that people have a great education. They're inspired to learn. They don't have teachers that are either great or terrible or somewhere in between. Make teachers a highly paid profession that's really hard. In China, we're talking about China. In China, the highest thing you can achieve is being a teacher, and then right below that's doctor and lawyer. Because they realize that if you have really smart people, the smartest people in your country are all teaching the next generation. You're going to have a really smart next generation. Era of great projects. China is embarking on their own era of great projects right now as America tries to help export drones for Turkey to blow things up with, tries to hide its history in Tulsa, doesn't want to have a system that works with the people because we're so happy with the entrenched oligarchy that we have. And Tulsa is just an example a drop in this giant bucket of decisions made in this useless, unproductive fashion.
Yeah. At the end of the day, remember Black Wall Street, and it must come back. We must acknowledge what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma.